People are often asking me, where does mix live? Where's my mix? How can I work on my mix? How can I master my mix? Is it a third register between chest and head? So it isn't. It's not a third register. I often say, and it's not actually, you can't take like a cup of head voice and a cup of chest voice and mix them in a bowl. So in this video, I'm going to show you how your systems of singing explain this concept of mix without inventing some mysterious phantom register over which you will have very little understanding, command, or success. So hey there, if you're new here, my name's Dan Callaway. I teach musical theater voice at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. More than 25 years kicking around on equity stages and more than 15 years helping singers get to work on Broadway national tours in the regions and around the world. And I'm very happy you're here with me today. So let me give you the historical context of where head and chest, okay, where head and chest language come from. These terms literally come from pedagogues hundreds of years ago trying to define what we would name the experience of vocal vibration, proprioception, what the ear is hearing, what we perceived was going on in the body, without the benefit of all of the visualizing and audio measuring technology that we have today to help to analyze what's going on with the voice. The terms chest voice and head voice were literally named that because of the predominant sympathetic resonances one felt when you were in these registers. So if you're in chest voice, hey, you're going to feel vibration in the chest. If I'm in head voice, I'm going to feel vibrations predominantly in the head. It is as simple as that. Teachers and singers have been trying to describe a coordination that they heard or perceived, but didn't quite have the scientific ability to explain. So when we start to use a word like mix, you can only be in one of two registers. You can only be in mode 1 chest or mode 2 head. Okay, so mode 0, that is pulse or fry, mode 0. When I add air to mode 0, I come into mode 1. That is the body and the cover of the fold vibrating. And then when I move into head, it's mostly just the cover vibrating. Okay, so that's the definition of registration that we're working with. Mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, and then mode 3 is whistle. I won't get into whistle or be able to demonstrate it in this video. So, all right, but then mix. So mode 1, my mode 1 has a wide array and a wide variety of densities that it is capable of. Some densities that I will create in mode 1 will have very similar feelings to coordinations that I am able to do in mode 2. And then some things in mode 2, depending on my voice, will have some very similar feelings and sympathetic resonances that I feel in mode 1. Hence, we use this term mix because both head and chest are both delivering sympathetic resonances. And so that's where this term mix comes from. So you can absolutely experience what we call a mix, but know that you're either in mode 1 or mode 2. There is no other mode to be in, mode 1 or mode 2. And modes 1 and 2 have a very wide variety of possibilities of how they can manifest. Yeah, there is no separate mix register. You're in mode 1 or mode 2. Okay, so just to review, your vocal folds have these two primary vibratory patterns. So mode 1, you have, okay, so this hand right here, it's like you're looking straight on at my vocal fold. I have the body of my vocal fold, the thyroarytenoid vocalis family, the actual body of my fold, and then I have the cover of my fold, the epithelium, the mucous membrane that covers the fold, okay? So when I'm in mode 1, the body and the cover are both vibrating. So you have a lot of rich vibratory color going on with all of these vibrations. And then in mode 2, it's just the cover that is mainly vibrating. I don't know, I can't get in there to see how much of the body might still be vibrating in mode 2, but that's the really kind of quick and dirty differentiation. The body and the cover for mode 1, just the cover in mode 2, okay? So what we call mix is the way that those two patterns are coordinated, not a new register. So I can, and today will actually be a really good day for me to demonstrate this because I'm quite vocally tired from my teaching week. I really overdid it on Tuesday. I started at 9 in the morning and taught all the way through the day into studio class at about 9 p.m. at night. And yeah, I thought I was capable of more than I was capable of, and then thought, oh, I can do this and get 5 hours of sleep and blah, blah, blah. So, do as I say, not as I do on vocal health sometimes. I've not taken great care of my voice this week. When I'm doing some of these exercises, the crustiness in my voice today will probably be a great little indicator of where things are switching over and how things work. So let's use it to our advantage. Your mode 1 capability has a wide array of densities that it's capable of, and your mode 2 coordination also a wide array of densities that it's capable of based on muscular coordination and acoustic factors. Registration is both a muscular coordination and an acoustic event. So they work together. And then there will be a density continuum. You go from a light, medium to a heavier density. So let's talk first about the phonatory system itself, where your folds are actually making contact. So we're adjusting vocal fold closure and density throughout the mode. So if I'm in mode 1, and let's just say I'm going to go medium today. So if I go, I'm going to go from a very low density to a higher density. I don't know what this sign language is over here, but low density, high density. But you can feel through the mode, so the phase on my folds are not spending as much time together as they would over here. All manner of density available there, all in mode 1. Mode 2, if I'm going all still in mode 2, yeah? You can hear some of that crust in there, yeah? That's all mode 2. Yeah, so lots of possible shapes and things. And I'm playing around with Tract shape already that you can hear. But I just want you to see there's this whole variety of density. So if I'm here, in mostly probably in an estrogen influenced voice, that coordination could indeed sound more like mode 1. It's more obviously mode 2 in my voice, at least today. So, all right. So the actual vibration of my folds has this whole continuum of options. We might call that more open phase to closed phase. We might call that lower density to higher density. Density comes from complete vocal technique. I really love their use of that word. That's a really great word to describe the quality of vocal fold vibration itself and the intensity of sound. So right there at the vocal fold level, my phonatory pattern. Then the resonance system we want to look at. Tract shaping. You can go all the way through that tract shaping playlist that I've got on the channel that takes you from where's the laryngeal neighborhood? What's the tongue doing in its anterior posterior narrowing journey? What is your pharynx doing in its medial lateral narrowing situation? What is your soft palate doing? If your soft palate's higher or lower, that's going to affect things. What is the top of your tongue? How is it relating to the hard palate? That's going to affect things. The position of your jaw, your lips and your cheeks. All of these things are going to play a huge role in how we are shaping the resonance system. So a lower larynx, low frequency, higher larynx, higher frequency. My tongue, if I have, this is huge, and you'll have to go back and look at the tongue narrowing videos to get more information on this, but if my tongue is closer back to the back of my pharynx, I have a narrower channel, that's going to be a higher density sound. If my tongue is farther away, it's a more open channel, a lower density sound. So if I even do, this is the back of my pharynx, this is my tongue. That is me moving the tongue and affecting resonance just by shaping where my tongue is in my mouth. If I can move the soft palate. I'll go from high to low. So you see, as I lower my palate, that intensifies things. If I move the jaw. So that's all in mode 1, okay? In mode 2, the same things apply. And so if I'm going to intensify acoustic activity in mode 2, that's going to bring in some acoustic activity that might feel like chest voice. So if I'm going, I can't sing that today, but That's adding brightness, intensity into the sound. You can clearly hear that it's mode 2 head voice, but you can hear some of these brighter colors coming in, more intense densities coming into that sound. So that's how we can start to get an idea of like, oh, that's how mode 2 can have qualities that are similar to mode 1, and how mode 1 can have qualities that are similar to mode 2. So we're looking at the actual phonatory pattern, we're looking at the resonant shape, and then we're also looking at the breath system. So how does the breath system contribute to density and mix? So there are lots of different ways to move air through and out using the muscles of the torso family. Because the pressure that I am delivering up from the torso is going to have a significant effect on what's going on here in the vocal folds, because they are managing this pressure that's coming up. So if I'm hitting it with a lot of subglottal pressure, that is going to promote higher density. So even if I go, I'll just change the breath pressure. Same little thing. Hey, that's just me doing breath. And if I leave the larynx alone, this is a fun little exercise for laryngeal freedom. If I just leave the larynx alone and don't resist this, hey, it will just jump the larynx up, affect pitch, things like that. So a lot of times when we're told to really support, sometimes we're really pummeling the bottom of the larynx with a lot of subglottal pressure that we don't need. If we have a balanced phonatory pattern, if we have an efficient tract shape, we often don't need a lot of support. So remember that. So, and then the way I'm supporting, depending on the kind of sound that I'm making, depending on the kind of style I'm in, it's going to vary. So am I going to be doing more of a floaty ribs, abdominal driven exhale, a more appoggio setup, or am I going to be some sounds come from more of like a rib closure situation. So the difference between like hey and hey, those are different sounds that could be made depending on the style I'm singing. Okay, so what's the phonatory pattern? What is the tract shape doing? How is my breath system impacting that? So you see, it's very chicken or eggy. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, all the systems are simultaneously affecting each other. The way that you shape your vocal tract is sending backward information back to the phonatory pattern, even down into the body. The way that I'm sending breath up is sending information to the folds, and it's affecting how they are vibrating. Everything is always working in concert together, and when you understand your systems working together, it makes singing, it can feel overwhelming when you start to think about the systems, but once you start to address one at a time, okay, well, let's check and see what breath is doing. Let me see what vibration is doing. Let's see what tract shape is doing. You start to get to know your voice. You start to compare things to other things. Oh, my palate, when it's low, it feels like this. When it's high, it feels like that. When my tongue is here, it makes that sound. When my tongue is there, it makes that sound. And you start to put pieces together and things become more nuanced over time. How is breath happening within the skeleton? How is that affecting phonation? Then how is that vibration finding my vocal tract? And how is my vocal tract affecting the whole system? But when you put all these pieces together, then you can start to see how they coordinate to make certain sounds that we would call mix. So even if I'm here, we'll see how this goes today. So if I go, hey, and so actually, listen, today's going to be a great way to hear this transition. My folds are swollen today because I overused them a couple days ago and they're still recovering. So the actual cover of my folds is a little swollen. So you're going to hear some noise as I transition over from mode 2 into mode 1. And it'll actually be a good little indicator to hear how that handoff happens. So you're welcome. Hey, hey, I'm in mode 2. Okay, so there you go. Your conservatory level voice teacher with erect voice doing this video for you today, but I hope you can hear how that transition is happening. I hope that's helpful, and I hope it's not like offending your ears. Yeah, but again, look, I forget that I'm a human. I forget often that I am limited. I need rest. I need proper hydration, and I don't always do that for myself. So, take that as a lesson. I always tell students a lot of times you find balance by getting out of balance. So I'm a little out of balance in my voice use right now. You can also look through my channel. There are a few videos about that modal transition exercise where I'm in a little better health. I actually have another one where I'm similarly crusty, so I seem to only want to do these videos when I'm feeling super crusty. So you can work, this is this form of a messa di voce exercise. And so you can do a messa di voce within one register, and then you can cross registers in the messa di voce. So you can do a messa di voce. That's just me narrowing the tongue for a crescendo and opening it back up for diminuendo, okay? And then if I go, I can bring in some sharper color with more narrowing, lowering of the palate, more narrowing of the tongue. So you can play around with all of these density changes. So messa di voce exercises, and just notice what levers are you moving in order to change the density of your voice. And now, look, if you're not accomplishing a smooth transition between modes, let it just like flop right over. That's actually really good just to note where the handoff is, because you're moving over from, say if you're going from mode 2 to mode 1, you're moving from just the cover vibrating to the cover and the body vibrating. And that is a muscular coordination that has to be trained. So if I have it might yodel like that, and that's fine. And just note, oh, there it is. Or it might just move right over. So play around with that, okay? For laryngeal freedom and just modal recognition, these modal yodels, I like to do these, and I start a lot of lessons with just these sorts of sounds, but just starting in like a mode 2 on an E or an oo, mode 2 loves E and oo, and then moving down abruptly into mode 1 on as and es. So just and things like and just noticing the differences. Noticing how tract shape has an effect on your registration and how it's creating that shift in registration. And then you can take that and start to play around with registration awareness. Just playing around with the same pitch range, different registration. And then also making sure that you're bringing registers in both directions. You want to move mode 2 as low as you can and move mode 1 up, not as high as you can, but continue to stretch mode 1 higher and higher. So there's a lot of overlap and possibility between the two. That is crucial. So you're going to take mode 2 like so you want to train mode 2 to go really low, and then that is going to offer your voice a lot of balance and also evidence that you have, I have a whole continuum of option wherever I am, okay? So that's also going to help with this whole idea of mix and option. And then there are a couple other little SOVT and acoustic shaping switch offs that I like to do sometimes just to give myself information on how my tract shaping is creating density levels. So there's one that I like to do where you use a V. So I'm just feeling this V. It's a really nice healing semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. I'm letting that air pressure move back and be very healing and therapeutic. And then now I'm going to sustain this V at the top, and then I'm going to narrow the tongue, and I'm going to notice what happens here at the lips. So I'm going to go. This is me moving my tongue back. So you see, when I narrow my tongue is taking over some of that acoustic responsibility. It's taking, so the V is providing back pressure. It is valving air pressure. When I move my tongue, the tongue's position is making the acoustic shape more efficient, therefore taking air pressure away from the lip. So that's a really fun thing to play around. You could do it with a lip buzz, probably. So that is increasing acoustic brightness through the lip buzz, and you can hear that. The brighter sound, the more intense sound, is me moving the tongue back, okay? So that's one way to play. I like to do this loose lip one as well, where it's just like, oh, and then I will use, this gives me a back air pressure benefit, and then I'll transfer over to an acoustic tract shaping to replicate that efficiency, but with an acoustic strategy rather than an air pressure strategy. So if I was going, oh, why am I picking like my hardest note when I'm feeling this way? Let's see, I'll try that. So I'm moving from lip buzz into a shape that will support what I'm doing. If I'm so I'm moving from using this loose lip air slower downer to then shaping my tongue into a very efficient place for vowel, okay? It's a little tricky to explain that in a YouTube video, but play around with those, your favorite semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, moving, and then play around with different acoustic shapes. And you can do weird ones. I play around a lot with like Jim Carrey as the Grinch. So like his tongue like is so far back, but you can make lots of sustainable sounds. Like, so you can make all kinds of sounds in all kinds of crazy positions. It's great evidence for your voice, not from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. like I did the other day, but it's great evidence for your voice that it is sustainable and that you can make these sounds over and over and over again. So all of these things are going to show you that your voice operates along a continuum. It's going to illuminate that mix is not this mysterious third register that you have to find, that you have possibility within mode 1, possibility within mode 2. And there is a point in which they hand off to each other. But it's a very distinct point. You're in one or the other. So remember that. One or the other, myriad densities within these two modes. So they are, I guess you'd call them very big tents. They cover a lot of different sounds. So this matters because it's going to stop you from chasing sort of a mythical place or a mythical coordination. That it's like words like placement or forward or posture. There are lots of words that we use in singing parlance that I find very unhelpful. They either promote static hold, they make you depend on a sensation that you may not have on it. Like today, I'm kind of swollen. If I had to sing today, I don't know that I would feel the same kind of mask resonance that I would feel on a day when I felt healthier. And so if I'm depending on feeling that same kind of resonant feedback every day, I'm not going to have that. So when I know how my voice functions, I'm like, okay, here's the breath, there's the vibration, there's the tract shape. Okay, I'm a little crusty on that today, so how am I going to navigate that? I'm going to use tract shaping, I'm going to use vowel knowledge, I'm going to use air pressure knowledge. So this gives you real sort of levers, little EQ dials that you can use. Your breath, the way that your folds are closing, your resonance, and how they are always interrelating in both directions. It frees you to choose qualities. You can choose bright qualities, warm qualities, belty ones, floaty ones. You can be in a Western classical style. You can be in any manner of commercial style without panic, and then you're not going to be panicking about like finding a particular coordination that we call mix. You understand that, oh, I have options, and then you can step back and ask yourself, who am I? What do I believe is happening? Literally, whatever song I'm singing, who am I? Letting the identity of that song and style bubble up inside you. What do I believe is happening through that identity of who I am? I heard a guy on a bike who was blasting Ella Fitzgerald into the universe, which I wasn't mad about. She sounded great. But like, okay, if I'm Ella Fitzgerald looking through Ella Fitzgerald's eyeballs, singing Love Is Here to Stay, that's a very particular point of view. And if I'm Freddie Mercury singing Don't Stop Me Now, that's a very different point of view, very particular point of view, very different identity that's going to form a different physical and energetic framework through which I sing. I hope that helps. If this framework, if this way of thinking about the voice is helpful to you, if it makes sense, that is exactly what I'm building into the voice map inside the resource library. So I'm creating a course called the voice map that's going to really acquaint you intimately with all the systems of your voice so that you have immediate proprioceptive access to these systems and understand how they work together and how you can apply them directly to your own singing. And I'm layering those all inside the resource library as I create the lessons. So every module in the resource library walks you through the systems of singing. It is set up in the systems of singing framework with clear exercises and tools so that you can really stop guessing and start practicing strategically. You're like, oh, I know how to make my sound louder in a healthy way. I know how to make my sound softer in a healthy way. I understand how breath is moving through. I understand how I'm witnessing legato, things like this, things that can be very mystifying. You're like, oh, that tool is actually quite simple. It's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy to coordinate necessarily, but it's a simple tool that I can practice. I can do this 7 minutes a day. Over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to see a significant change. So that's really what I want to equip you with, is an understanding of your systems of singing, your skeleton, your breath, phonatory pattern, tract shaping, articulation, your overall artistry, and really celebrating the mystery of singing inside of that. You can know all of these mechanics, and then I am still surprised that it works. I'm still surprised that I was able to make sounds on a very sort of swollen, tired day. It's nighttime. I've had a full day of teaching. I'm about to go to bed. And, this is what I'm working with today. But these things are possible because of an understanding of how the systems work together. And I know as well the pain of not understanding them, of being in front of audiences, afraid that I was going to crack or not make it through a song because I didn't have the understanding of how the tools work together, of how the systems of my body work together. Once I started to understand that, things really changed for me. And then when I could give that to singers and people become unconfused, that is tremendously meaningful to me. Check out the resource library. If you're in the resource library, you're going to get the voice map already layered in there for free. You can tell me what works, what doesn't work for you, and I can change it. You get to tell me what you need, and I get to give that to you. We also have really terrific Q&As twice a month, and it's great. It's a sweet community of people, and I really enjoy meeting with everybody and getting to know everybody in their journey better and better. All right, so check that out. I hope this helps as far as your understanding of what mix is and how your breath, your phonatory pattern, and your tract shaping contribute to this. There's a video where I talk more specifically about the mechanics of mix. I'll put that right here before I head out. And remember, please, 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 most of all, that there is only one you, and somebody would love to hear the story that only you can sing. Love much. Now go sing, and we'll all go get some rest.